it's me, Mystical McKay. Hello, my Twitch bitches. Hi. Today, I'm going to be reading Chapter 4 of the Completion Process. My favorite book ever so far. I haven't really delved into her other books, so I'd probably fall in love with them too. So we've gone through 3 chapters so far, and they've been a little bit informative about sort of just understanding what our emotions are for, and a little bit about the conscious and subconscious mind. And I don't really think we've gotten into too much else, really. So this is Chapter 4. How body, emotions, and time relate. I'm going to tune on to Twitch real quick so I can see who's in here before we get started. I gotta refresh the page. Thank you guys for being in here with me. Let me know if the audio's wonky or the video is choppy. Turn up on OBS. Okay. How is that? Is that good? Yes, no, maybe so. It's not up all the way, but I think if I turned it up any more from now, it would be all the way. Okay, good? Cool. Completion Process by Teal Swan, read by me, Mystical McKay. Chapter 4. How body, emotions, and time relate. In truth, there is no high or low in this universe, but for the sake of our understanding, let's just say that at the highest level of consciousness, all is integrated. All is one. At lower levels, however, there are different dimensions and facets. In this way, you are like the universe because you are also multidimensional and multifaceted. At your highest level, all is integrated. Your physical, etheric, feeling, thinking, and spiritual bodies are all one. They're all just an energy expressing itself. At lower levels, these aspects of your present and different dimensions overlaid upon another. But these aspects are all just different expressions of the same consciousness. The feeling body. Each feeling state has a unique sensation within the body. In the same way that a morsel of food creates a unique flavor experience when you eat it. I like to refer to our unique feeling as feeling flavors in the body. Your feeling body, which is what most people call the emotional body, is the truth of who you are at a feeling level. This layer of you contains the imprints of the emotional aspect of your memories, as well as your current emotional state. It's the bridge between your physical self and your thinking self. So cool. Because of the emotional body, you're able to physically experience your own thoughts. First, your thoughts are converted into feeling impressions. Then your physical body interprets those feelings as if it translates a message and converts those feeling states into neuropeptides and hormones. These elements cause the physical reactions in your body called emotions. Emotions range from fear, anger, stress, love, compassion, and happiness. Not surprisingly, your feeling body specializes in feeling. Feeling is not only about emotion, it is also about sensation and perception. Even though emotion does not exist beyond the physical body, feeling does. Another way to say this is that an emotion is a psychological experience of a feeling, and each feeling is sensation-based perception awareness. Awareness that is taken from you. Form, if you will. Awareness that has taken form, if you will. But your feeling body is not an actual physical body. Your feeling body is etheric in nature. However, if you wish, the feeling body could be visualized and therefore understood symbolically as an actual body. Seeing beyond the physical body. This idea of visualizing the feeling body as an actual body is easier understood through examples. So let me share some experiences I think will help. I have a male relative who is stoic, with a confident, independent air about him. He's very hardworking, and his attitude about life is, you gotta break some eggs to make an omelet. When his feeling body revealed itself to me, it was gray and blue in color. It was hunched over at the shoulders, leaning lopsided to the left. The gaze of this feeling body was towards the floor. In moments were constricted, most shockingly of all, it was covered, especially on the left side of the face area, with disfiguring raised scars. Scars that were so bad that it looked as if they had been caused by a meat grinder. Oh my goodness. It's Freddy. No. The energy of this man was the energy of suppression and deeply imprisoned grief. Inherent in the situation is a tendency that I see quite often. When there is damage to our feeling body, it weakens our aspect of ourselves, causing another aspect of ourselves to overcompensate. This compensation leads to a severe lack of integration within the self, so that the self becomes fragmented and fractured. The physical body most often compensates for the emotional body. For example, say someone's emotional body is weak and fearful and appears to collapse in on itself. Often that person will exaggerate their physical posture to appear like they're strong, confident, and outward moving. Or that very same person might instead be particularly spiritually developed, with a great talent for withdrawing into their own consciousness and perceiving things from a more objective perspective. In each case, one aspect of self is compensating for the deficiency of another. Hell yeah. Did I do that? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna see what you guys are saying. Hello. Thank you guys for being in here. Appreciate your time. We're reading The Completion Process by Teal Swan. My boo. I love her so much. And yeah, we're on chapter 4. Why pay attention to your body? Why? I feel that it's important for you to pay attention to your feeling body. For starters, the feeling body is the translator between physical experience and non-physical experience. It's what makes you able to experience thought as something quote-unquote real. In fact, without your feelings, nothing about your physical reality would seem real because your sense of life itself and the feeling-based conclusions you make about your life are all parts of your feeling body. Your interpretations are a part of your feeling body. And we already talked about the fact that your emotional trauma is a part of your feeling body. If your sense of life is painful, and if the conclusions that you have drawn about your life are painful, and if memories are painful, then your feeling body will continue to convey all of these painful messages towards your physical body. This will be interpreted as an unpleasant emotion within the body, and quite likely will lead to you having an unhappy life. So, for example, if you have a negative interpretation of your life, this will lead to a physical reflection of those painful emotional states. The worst part is, you can't stop reliving the original trauma. You can't be in the present moment because the emotional trauma keeps coming up and over again in attempts to integrate itself. In other words, if I feel like my father abandoned me in some way when I was young, a very normal thing that somebody could experience throughout childhood, no matter the experience, over the course of my life, I will manifest situations that make me feel abandoned. It makes sense that if healing must take place on the emotional and feeling level, you do have to address the emotions and feelings themselves. You must address the first time you felt those emotions and feelings. But here's the catch. The minute you say, I need to heal something, this implies that you have to change or fix something, which also means that you are currently disapproving of something. The best way to damage yourself emotionally is to look at yourself through the lens of something in you needs to change. If you approach the feeling body with an attitude of, I need to fix you, you have just taken a serrated knife to a wound. You have not healed anything. So what's the alternative? The best alternative is trying to fix or heal the emotion is by embracing the feelings and emotions entirely, no matter how painful. Be with the feelings and emotions instead of trying to change them. Listen to them and what they need you to know. We can call this process integration instead of healing. As you go through this part of the completion process, you will learn how to fully and completely present with yourself and your emotions. I believe that one of the best ways to do this is through a variation of Vipassana Meditations. I do meditations, by the way. Psst. Which is one of the oldest meditation practices on the planet. It's the form of meditation that the Buddha used to attain enlightenment. Vipassana means to see things for what they really are. And the goal of Vipassana meditation is to transform oneself through self-observation. You will experience this as you work through the completion process, becoming fully present with yourself. But more than being fully present without thoughts, you will be fully present with your emotions. For this reason, I'm lovingly nicknaming this part of the process Emotional Vipassana. Ooh, Hi guys. Hello. Meditation, right? Okay. Oh, that was good. Where were we? Feeling and being. Much of the focus in the world of healing seems to center around one thing: feeling better. There's nothing wrong with this goal. It's natural, but it's a trap that actually prevents the completion of our own healing. By feeling like you have to feel better, you unconsciously send yourself the message that there is something wrong with feeling the way that you currently feel. You've given yourself the message that you need to be fixed, which we now realized is a covert level of self-rejection. You reject the place you are in if you think that where you need to be must change. You reject the way you feel if you think that the way you feel needs to be changed. This is exactly the problem that caused you to end up in this position in the first place. People around you couldn't simply be unconditionally present and loving the way that for exactly as you were. So now you must do it for yourself. When you were young and feeling sad, you didn't want your parents to rescue you from the pain or try to make you feel better as much as you just wanted them to be completely and unconditionally with you while you felt how you felt. Because they did not do this, you got the message that their presence was conditional. It was conditional upon you being either sweet, cheerful, silent. You have continued to give yourself the same message that you only deserve your presence if you feel a certain way. Oh my God. Here is that fair weather relationship again. Oh my goodness. So what's the alternative? Well, I'm proposing. It is to switch your focus from feeling better to being willing to just feel. Give yourself, your thoughts, and your emotions the unconditional, focused presence and loving care that you've been craving and not getting from other people for so long. If we want a world where we can do this for each other, we need to learn how to do it ourselves, and then we can pass it on to others who are in the willingness to be unconditionally present for themselves. It's kind of like that analogy of saying, like, if you don't put your oxygen mask on first, you can't really be of any service to other people. You can try, but you're gonna fail. If that makes any sense. Hello. Thank you, guys. Is it desire or is it a craving? Thousands of years ago, it was said that desire was the root of suffering. Is this true? No, it is not. The actual word that was used in this phrase was tana. What is the translation to tana? Thirst. What is the difference between desire and thirst? A whole lot. Think of choice as a two-sided coin. On one side is desire, and the other is thirst. Thirst is the shadow side of desire on this coin called choice. Thirst implies that there is a lack, and that the lack is what's motivating the craving. Thirst is the attachment, the craving of something, but it's also motivated by an aversion to something else. The root of suffering, therefore, is the state of perpetual movement from aversion towards attachment, the thing we crave because our acute awareness of the lack of something else. Attachment is nothing more than an addiction. That is to say, the desperate wanting of something because something else is lacking or you are trying to avoid. Wow. So there's a difference between a craving and a desire. Craving is the shadow aspect of desire. The shadow of desire stems from a perceived deprivation. Desire is not bad. In fact, you cannot escape desire in this lifetime, nor would you want to if you really understood it. You can, however, transmute it. You can exalt it. Desire, in its purest form, absent of shadow, is like a yes to an experience. It's the yes that occurs from sorting through contrast, but it's a yes that is not by the product of a no. In other words, it's a yes to an experience or the choice of an experience that is not motivated by aversion, the avoiding of something. Thus, it doesn't take on the form of attachment. In this way, desire in its pure form is the absence of resistance, making it a tool towards the true self. Desire facilitates expansion, self-awareness, and self-realization, whereas craving is a tool of the ego. Makes sense, don't it? Thank you, guys. Here's perhaps the most surprising part. Ego is a term that the Buddha did not even know. This was adopted into modern Buddhist circles. Applied to the teachings of Buddha, it was simply the best word that we could come up with to describe the difference between the enlightened perspective of no separate self and the illusory perception of the separate self. Later, this is what Carl Jung called the shadow aspect, meaning conscious versus not conscious. But when the Buddha accurately described his enlightenment experience, what he was trying to explain was that he had observed a polarity inherent within himself, a polarity like truth and illusion, conscious and unconscious, suffering and happiness. And the enlightenment transcended all polarity. Enlightenment is not happiness any more than it is suffering. Enlightenment is liberation from polarity. The route to feeling better. All of our behaviors then, regardless of whether they are seemingly malicious or seemingly benign, have a single root. We want to feel better. The person who shoots up heroin does so because she wants to feel better. The person who gets married does so because he thinks that it will make him feel happier. The person who murders another commits that murder because he thinks it will make him feel better. Up to now, all movement within the universe is done to move towards something because you want to move away from something else. We move towards what is wanted because of our desire to move away from something that is unwanted. The biggest issue with that is when you live your life moving away from a negative towards a positive, you are always in motion. You can never stop to smell the roses in the present moment, so to speak. All your decisions are made from pain. All desires are the byproduct of trying to move away from pain. But I'm asking you to imagine a life where there was nothing you wish to move away from in the beginning. A state where your life is lived for joy in total non-resistance to pain. In order to end this trial of tears and reach this better point, you must end the perpetual movement away and towards, away and towards. To end the movement from aversion towards craving, which is all attachment really is. We turn it into the direction of our aversion. We sit with it completely. We embrace it. We are unconditionally present with it. And we let it know that we are willing to experience it without needing it to change. We are set free because of our willingness to bring the light of our presence to our consciousness into the shadow of the absence of our consciousness. Once we no longer have the aversion to our aversion, it's no longer our master. Desire is transmuted because it's finally free of its shadow. Taking this one step further, there is no longer any need for reincarnation either. The craving for reincarnation is gone from our very soul. The soul now makes all of its choices free from any motivation caused by aversion or craving, which is a truly liberating place to be. Can you imagine? The true nature of peace. Peace is much more than the absence of war. Peace is the absence of internal conflict and external conflict. It is the absence of opposition and polarity. Peace is the center point in the symbols of infinity. Peace really has no opposite, but rather, peace can be described as a unified beingness, a state of enlightenment. Peace can be seen as a byproduct of the ongoing process of becoming conscious. As the universe, also called Source, becomes more conscious of itself, there is more to become conscious of. We, as a microcosm of the larger universe, must also become more conscious. Because of this, there is always further enlightenment to experience. That's true. Look at the infinity symbol, usually represented as a sideways figure 8. We can see that there is polarity. On one side, physical. On the other side, non-physical. On one side, life. On the other side, death. On one side, light. On one side, dark. And so on. But in between them is a point, the still point, where the line intersects. This is the part of the infinity symbol, and a true representation of infinity. It's not the balance between opposites. It's actually the union of and the transcendence of those opposites. Within the completion process, we find a practical approach to the enlightenment that we seek. The shadow once integrated, no longer drives us away from anything or towards anything else. We are free to consciously choose. It's a state of self-actualization, of being awakened. It's getting hot in here. Thank you, guys. Entering the Coexistence Timeline. Time feels as if it flows in a linear manner from past to present to future. It feels like the present is constantly updating itself. We have a perception that the future is open until it becomes present, and that the past is fixed. All of this is just perception. In reality, all timelines exist simultaneously. The universe is more like an ocean, comprised of all the things that we have ever see in existence. Everything that has been or will be coexists because of the law of attraction. Some of the nows are a vibrational match to other nows. They relate to one another, and the perception that you have of them is that they line up. We call this lineup time. The best way to allow your linear mind to comprehend a universe composed only of nows is to imagine that you see me walking into a library. Then imagine that I tore out every page from every book in the library, and littered the floor with them. There is no longer any order in these pages. All the stories, all the timelines in those stories are now coexisting as an ocean of information. YouTube. If I were to put my pair of goggles that allowed me to see specific color for the pages that belonged to a specific book, I could see them that they were a match to one another if I collected them. I could then arrange them into a specific order to make the story unfold so that the information had meaning. I would be making a linear story out of an ocean of information. In essence, this is what the mind does. Holy guacamole. Okay. So now that you can better understand how memory works, memory is actually just the result of the mind arranging nows into a sequence so that meaning can be derived from them, and so the progression or expansion can be perceived. To take this even further, it must be said that even the perception of nows is an illusion. It takes quote-unquote time for light to move from the book in front of you to your eyes, and so on as you perceive these words in front of you. You do, in fact, not perceive them in real time. You perceive something that was the now milliseconds ago. Therefore, we can never actually see anything as it is right now. What does all this mean for us in regards to the completion process? It means that we must begin to view time in its entirety as a beneficial illusion, but an illusion nonetheless. Wow. Upon coming into this physical life, we come into the perception of linear time for the purpose of learning. We think the past is gone, but the past is not gone. This means that time travel is a reality for the mind, regardless of whether it is a yet in reality for the body. Yet. In fact, the only thing that you'd theoretically need a time machine for is for the mind and emotions. They don't even need a time machine to travel across time, because that's what you do in the process, is you basically have that emotional experience all over again and change it. Why do we need a time machine? Wow, debunked. Whatever. Viewing our lives on a linear timeline. For the sake of understanding the completion process and for simplicity, we are going to work with our generally accepted perception of time. On a linear timeline, we proceed with caution. What that means is that you can see how something in the now or in the future was set in motion as a result of something from the past. For example, you can see how losing your parent at a young age is the cause of your reluctance to love someone as an adult, which is in the effect because we think the past is gone. We don't think that we have any ability to alter the cause, only the effect. So most of our healing modalities seek to alter the effect without ever addressing the cause. But if you alter the effect without dealing with the cause, no real transformation occurs. It is a bit like trying to kill a weed without pulling out the root. By pulling out the root, we change all that was in progressive result of that root. It's like when you're popping a pimple and you don't get all the muck out, there's still a little bit left. You didn't get through the whole thing, and it just gets angry. You just woke the beast. Yeah. If we see that time is an illusion and that our reality is composed only of what we perceive, the lines between imagination and reality blur. Let them blur. And the mind will be open to the possibilities that we previously seemed unperceivable. We can be open to the possibility that by mentally making changes to the past, it causes a mental change to our present, and by emotionally making changes to the past, it causes emotional changes to the present. This allows us to see that the world is open for infinite possibilities in regards to healing. For example, a person who was moved around a lot as a child may have developed the feeling that she couldn't control anything. She felt powerless and stressed. That's a causation. As an adult, she may have turned to smoking because it makes her feel relief, because it also provides a ritual that makes her feel like she has control and power over something in her life. Smoking is the effect. Consider what would happen if we took this person mentally and emotionally back in time and healed the childhood causation. That person might wake up the next morning with no desire to smoke a cigarette. This example is not fictitious. It's in fact an actual account of what occurred with many of my clients. In our present lives, we are but walking imprints of the past. By altering the past, we affect the present. And the good news is, we don't need a time machine to do it. The past is not lost to us. We can use the painful emotions that arise in the present to access our past. So often, we have wished that we could alter the courses of history without knowing that we can. We can put ourselves back together again and make ourselves complete again. Boop boo 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 boo. That was that, my friends. That was the end of chapter 4. I love it. I really enjoyed that one. A whole lot. Kind of a shorter one, huh? 2's gonna make you not want to smoke. She could make you do a lot of things. Alrighty, so yeah, that was that. That was the chapter 4. I really liked that. Let's look back at remember what the title of that one was. I'm trying to remember. How body, emotions, and time relate. How crazy. How do you explain all of that in just one chapter? She's so crazy, and I actually understood it, so wow, she's a queen. Okay. Cool. Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I know this is kind of a little weird, probably. Most people don't read this kind of woo-woo stuff, but it's my favorite, and I love reading out loud, so hopefully some of you enjoy it, I hope. Thank you. I'm going to be doing this again Sunday next week, the same time, which is like 9 p.m. Central Time. And if you're in Arizona, that's like 7 p.m., but highly doubt you don't live where I live. Cool. All right. Thank you guys for listening to me. I'm going to hop on off and go do my nightly teeth care ritual. Okay? All right. Love you guys. Thank you so very, very much for tuning in. This was a lot of fun. I'll see you tomorrow morning if you'd like to tune into a morning meditation with me. Early in the morning, like 9 p.m. Central Time. 9 a.m., not a.m.